Hi, fifth grade. Today we're going to be doing Module 4, Lesson 15 today. And again, we're going to be working with multiplying fractions by fractions, except today's lesson we're going to be moving away from the area models and into just the numerical way. But we are going to be starting with models first. So get started with me on this problem right here. And what we're going to be doing is 2/3 of 3/4. So I am going to be doing a model to show how to answer this problem, and then we'll also be doing it the numerical way. So for this one, we have 2/3 of 3/4. So to do this, I'm going to draw my area model, and then I'm going to cut it into thirds. So when I cut it into thirds, I'll start vertically, and since my numerator is 2, I need to shade in 2 of these spots. So I'll shade in 2, and now after this I have to show what 3/4 is going to look like. So now horizontally I'm going to cut this into fourths just like this. And now I need to shade in 3 of these fourths. I'm shading in 3 because that is my numerator. So I have 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. So I need to shade in this entire row, this entire row, and this entire row. So I shaded those in, and now I need to count how many boxes have both colors or are overlapping in their shading, because that will show me the product for my numerator. So to find the product for my numerator, I need to count the boxes. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 boxes that have overlapping colors, overlapping shading. And then to find my denominator, to find the product for my denominator, I need to count how many units or how many boxes that I have. So I can easily do this by counting over 1, 2, 3, and then counting down 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 by 4 is 12. So that gives me an answer of 6/12. But remember, just like the last lesson, we need to make sure that our answer is simplified. So I have to figure out what is my least common multiple, or my greatest common factor between these two. So when I think about this, I have to see what can I divide both 6 and 12 by. In this case, I can divide both 6 and 12 by 6, and that is the biggest number that I can divide both of these by. So I'm going to divide both of these by 6. So I have 6 divided by 6, which gives me 1, and then 12 divided by 6, which gives me 2. So my answer is then just a half, and that's all we had to do to solve this one. So while we are working with fractions that are closer to 1 whole, we are still able to use a model to show that and then get our simplified answer. So that's mostly what we're going to be doing for the next problem as well. So for this next one, I would like you to try it on your own. So after I write it up, I would like you to pause the video and then try to do this one. So for this one, we have 2/3 times 2/3. And what you need to do is you need to pause the video. You can solve it numerically and simplify, and then you can also show me what what your area model or your rectangular fraction model is going to look like. So for this one, you should have your answer down by now. For this one, I need to show what 2/3 looks like. So I will cut this into thirds, and I will shade in 2 of those 3 pieces. And then horizontally, I need to show 2/3 again. So this way, I'm going to cut it into thirds again. And then I need to shade in 2 of those 3 pieces. So I have 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. I only need these 2 shaded in. So I go across like this. And then I just need to count the boxes that have overlapped shading, or the 2 colors. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So that shows me that my numerator is 4. And then for my denominator, to get that, I can just go over 1, 2, 3, and then down 1, 2, 3. So if I have 3 times 3, that is 9, and then that actually is a simplified number because I can't divide 4 and 9 by anything other than 1. So that is my final answer. Now, if I were to do this numerically, I would just have to go straight across. So I'll do 2 times 2, which gives me 4, and then I find the product of my denominators. So then I'll do 3 times 3, which gives me 9. And then that would also be my final answer. So these are 2 different ways to solve the same problem. Go ahead and erase this. And we're going to move on to number 3. And number 3 is actually a 3-part question. So I'm going to work with you on the first part, and then you'll be working on the rest of it on your own. So for this problem, we have 7/9 times 3/7. Now, looking at this, we can start seeing how this might be difficult to start showing in a model. And we don't really want to have a model that's cut into ninths and then cut into sevenths and like lots of shading, because it's going to get kind of confusing. So I'm actually not going to be doing a model for this problem. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to break this up into 2 different methods to solve this problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with method 1. And you could write this in your notebooks if you would like. So method 1 is just simply solving it. I'm not changing up the numbers. I'm not really doing anything different. So all I'm doing is going straight across and multiplying. So 7 times 3, which gives me 21. And then I'll find the product for my denominator. And that's 9 times 7, which gives me 63. And then I get an answer, 21, 63. And then I need to simplify this. So if I needed to, I guess I could do a standard algorithm, but I'm not going to. So I am just going to simplify it, and it's going to come out to 1/3, because 21 can go into 63 3 times. So that would be my final answer for this problem, is 1/3. Now, after that, and if it helps you, you could also think of this as doing 21 divided by 21 and then 63 divided by 21, because that's how you would simplify it, and that's how you get that 1/3. Now, for method 2, this is kind of difficult, because if you don't know how to do 21 divided by 63 or 63 divided by 21, that's going to be kind of difficult for you. But if you want, you can always do method 2. And this is the method that I think will be a lot easier for you. So if you're really solid with your facts, you could try this method. But if you think you might need a little bit of extra help, then this might be the method for you. So again, I'll be starting with that 7/9 times 3/7. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine this problem all together like we've done with problems in the past. So I'm going to have 7 times 3 all over 9 times 7. And now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to kind of break down my factors so it's a little bit easier for me to solve this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my numerator. I'm going to look at these factors and I'm going to think about, okay, I have a 7 here. Is there anything in my denominator that could be divided by 7? And I see that I have a 7 here. I can do 7 divided by 7. So just like we've done in previous problems, I'm going to cross out this number and I'm going to divide it. So I have 7 divided by 7, which gives me 1. And then over here, whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top, and vice versa. So I'll also do 7 divided by 7, which also gives me 1. So just like we did a few lessons ago. Then normally we would stop at just breaking down one factor, but now we actually have another set of factors that I could break down. So for this one, I have 3. So again, I'm going to look at my numerator, and I'm going to think about, is there anything that 3, I could divide by 3 on the bottom. So I know I can do 3 divided by 3, but I can also do 9 divided by 3. So I'm going to cross out this 3 right here, and I'm going to do 3 divided by 3, which gives me 1 again. And then I'm going to do 9 divided by 3, which in this case, 9 divided by 3 will give me 3. And now I just need to multiply with these new numbers that I wrote down. So those broke down factors. So now I just need to multiply those numbers. So I have 1 times 1, which gives me 1. And then on the bottom, I now have 3 times 1, which gives me 3. So I have the same answer. It's just a little bit easier with the factors up here. And especially if you need help with those really big facts, this might be a little bit easier for you to do. All right, I'm going to write the next problem on the board, and I would like you to try that one on your own. So for this next problem, we have 3/10 times 5/9. And what I would like you to do is pick one of these methods and then try to solve using that method. So method 1 is just multiplying it. You're not doing anything different. And method 2 is where you break down those factors and then you get your answer. So make sure you pause, try this problem now. All right, so when I go to solve this problem, when I'm doing it the method 1 way, I'm going to go 3 times 5, which gives me 15. And then I'll do 10 times 9, which gives me 90. And then I'm going to need to simplify this. So I think about, well, how many times can 15 go into 90? And what I would get is, so I know that 15 times 2 is 30. So then 15 times, it would be 6. So I have to use a little bit of that number sense to help me out with that one. But I would get, 1/6 as my answer for this problem, because I would have to do, I could do 15 divided by 15 and then 90 divided by 15 and get a final answer of 1/6. Now, again, that might be difficult, especially if you don't know your 90 divided by like 15 kind of facts. So over here, we're going to try method 2, and this is where I'm going to rewrite everything all together. Oops. So I have 3 times 5 all over 10 times 9. And what I'm going to start with is I'm going to think about the numbers in my numerator, can they be divided by anything, or can the numbers in my denominator be divided by them, vice versa. So if I have a 3 in my numerator, I'm going to think about, is there anything in my denominator that can be divided by 3? And in this case, yes, there is, because I can do 9 divided by 3. So I'm going to cross out this 3, and I'm going to do 3 divided by 3, which gives me 1. And then I'm going to do 9 divided by 3, and that gives me 3. Now, I am not done just yet, because now I have to look at this other factor that's in my numerator, which is a 5, and I have to think about, well, what other numbers can be divided by 5? So this 10 I know can be divided by 5, so I'm going to cross that out. Cross this one out. 5 divided by 5 is 1, and then we have 10 divided by 5, which is 2. And then I just need to multiply those new factors. So for my numerator, I'm going to have 1 times 1, which gives me 1. And then for my denominator, I'm going to have 2 times 3, which gives me 6. And then that is my final answer again, 1/6. So if you got this one right, awesome. And then you just have to find the method that works best for you. We have one more problem like this. So I'm going to erase this real fast, and then you can try this next one on your own using the method of your choice. So for this one, we have 5/8 times 4/15. And then we have 5/8 again times 4/15. So this one is going to be very difficult, because you're probably going to do a standard algorithm to solve 8 times 15. So you might want to think about using this method too to help you solve this problem. Go ahead and pause the video right now and try to solve this, and then we'll come back together. So for this problem, I'm actually going to start with method 2, because I just think that it's going to be a lot easier for me. So I'm going to rewrite this problem all together. So I have 5 times 4 over 8 times 15. And now I'm going to take the factors that are my numerator, and I'm going to see if any of my factors in my denominator can be simplified by them. So if I have this number 5 right here, I'm going to look at my denominator and think about, are there any numbers here that can also be divided by 5? Well, 15 can be divided by 5, so I'm going to cross that out. I'm going to cross out this 5. I'm going to do 5 divided by 5, which gives me 1. And then I'm going to do 15 divided by 5, which gives me 3. And that is all we have to do for that factor. But I'm not done yet, because now I have to look at this 4 right here and think about, well, is there anything in my denominator that can be divided by 4? And I could do 8 divided by 4. So I'm going to cross out the 8 and cross out that 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. And 8 divided by 4 is going to be 2. And all I need to do now is just multiply with my new factors. So I have 1 times 1, which gives me 1. And then I have 2 times 3, which gives me 6. And this is a lot easier than trying to do 8 times 15 and then dividing everything. Because what will happen over here is I'm going to have to do 5 times 4, which gives me 20. And then I have to do 8 times 15. I don't know about you, but I don't know my 15 facts too well. So if I have 5 times 8, that will be 40. And then 1 times 8 is 8. And then 8 plus 4 is 120. So then I'll have 20 over 120 like so. And then what I'm going to need to do is I can divide both sides by 20. So 20 divided by 20 is just going to give me 1. And then 120 divided by 20 is then going to give me 6. So my final answer again is 1, 6. So if you're really good at your facts again, then this is probably an easier method for you. But if you need some help with these bigger multiplication problems, then you might want to just try doing the kind of like simplify way. All right, I'm going to pause the video right here and get the word problem set up for our very last problem, and then we'll move on from there. All right, 5th grade. So here is our word problem for today's lesson. So this word problem says that Nigel completes 3/7 of his homework right after school and 1/4 of the remaining after dinner. He then finishes the rest after dessert. How much did he finish during dessert? So what I need to do is I need to first find all of the important information in this problem. So it says that he completes 3/7 of his homework right after school. And then I see that he also completes 1/4 right after dinner. And then he finishes the rest after dessert. And I need to figure out how much did he do during that dessert time. So I'm actually going to use a tape diagram to help me with this problem. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to show that 3/7 that he started on at first. So I'm going to break this into 7. So 1, 2, 3. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show how these 3/7 right here is what he did right after school. So right after school, he completed this much homework. And then it says that he finished 1/4 of the remaining after dinner. Now my model doesn't really help me figure out what 1/4 is, or what that would even look like on my model. But what I can do is I can think about, well, what is 1/4? What is 1/4 of the rest of my model? Because that might be able to help me figure out what my answer then is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have 1/4 times, or 1/4 of 4/7. So I can figure out what 1/4 of this remaining part is. So I can then fill it in and show it on my tape diagram. So if I have 1/4 times 4/7, I can have 4/28. So I can do that method one way. And then I can do 4 divided by 4 and 28 divided by 4. So 4 divided by 4 gives me 1, and 28 divided by 4 gives me 7. So this actually works out really nicely for me, because this tells me that I can now show what 1/7 looks like. And this 1/7 out of my model shows me that this is what he did after dinner. And now that I know what that 1/4 of the 4/7 was, I can then see that, well, it says that he finishes the rest after dessert. So that tells me then that this whole section over here is what was left of his homework. And then I just need to use my model to show me how much did he finish. Well, he finished 1, 2, 3 out of the 7 sections left. So he finished 3/7 during desserts. And you could have also done another way. You could have done what would then be 3/7. Sorry, you could have done what 3/4 of 4/7 is, and because you could have done what was the opposite of like the remaining that he had. But I find that this way is a little bit easier because you just have to multiply 1/4 of 4/7 instead of the other way around. And using a model will really help you out these kinds of problems. You may see problems like this on your problem set, so you might want to copy how to do these kinds of problems down into a notebook somewhere, because tape diagrams could be really useful for helping you solve these multiplication word problems. All right, so for your problem set today, what you're going to be doing is lesson 15. Don't forget it's lesson 15. You're going to be doing number 1, B through E. So number A, or part A, is already done for you. So it's number 1, B through E. And then you're going to do number 2, A through D. There are no word problems today, but I am expecting you to do all the models for some of the problems. And if your denominators get really big, then you can just do the method 1 or method 2 ways to solve them. And then for your homework tonight, again, you're not going to have any word problems, but you are going to be doing number 1, A through D, and then number 2, A through F. So please copy your homework down and then put it into your backpack and then get started on your problem set. If you need any help, please let me know, and good luck.